Alright, we are now reconnected, yeah. Again, we had a bit of a stream hiccup where, for some reason, the server just stopped responding. Not responding at Twitch. We are reconnecting. Just letting them know that as well. Good lord. Again, I'm really, really sorry, guys. There's some of this stuff that we can try and avoid in future, but some of it's like, it just randomly happens and there's not a lot we can do about it. Annoying, to say the least.
2 minutes from now on, John, life will be beautiful and we'll be talking about gateway expanse and whatnot.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
And we're going to see lots of links run around the map. We're going to see Hello Kitty go up to at least 30 probes. I feel it. So don't worry, man.
Yep. To refresh, guys. I think we're good. I think we're good to go now. Alright. It's probably LCS. Let's just blame them. They take all the bandwidth and everything goes wrong for everybody else. Freaking LCS. Alright. Yeah, players are ready. We're about ready to rock and roll, I think. Give this one another bash. Hello Kitty confirms is ready. Just waiting on Kane. And then we can get started. Now, apparently, Kane and Hello Kitty were actually on Pulse together.
Yeah, I got those tweets as well. That makes sense, because that was the team that Kane was on before he joined Root Gaming. And that was also the team he was on when people really started to notice him. Like when he was in Legion Clan, like a couple of people knew, like, oh yeah, Kane was around. I actually gave him a chance back then to play in the King of the Hill, because back then I used to run into him quite a bit on ladder and I knew he was good. And instead of just inviting like the famous pro gamers on the King of the Hill that we did with NSL, I let Kane play, but back then he wasn't as good as he is now. Despite I do still think that he won a couple of games, if I remember that correctly. But yeah, right now this is a whole new Kane and this is a hella scary Kane.
Yeah, it really, really is. Like, it's so intimidating to actually watch him play, and as far as I'm concerned, his performance against Massa was great. The question is, can he do the same thing as Hello Kitty? We're about to find out. So, folks, to the northwest position here of Akelon Wastes in the Red Trunks playing Zerg, it is
Root Kane
versus his opponent to the southeast that surprisingly took out Subby 2-0 with some very well-prepared builds. What else has he got in his sack of tricks? I have to worry. Not only do I wonder, but I also worry because I'm kind of scared of it. Not only in the case of how dangerous it is, but in how badly it could backfire. He is
Hello Kitty.
Oh man, oh man.
So far everything is looking pretty similar, even though I think in the previous game he did get the Forge before the Nexus. Now, there are still quite some builds where you just get a much later Forge, let's say like a 16 Forge, and then you drop the Nexus immediately after that. Grubby, for instance, one of the guys who used to do that for quite a while. It is just there because it's a little bit quicker, and in case your opponent went for a slightly quicker pool, you're still going to be able to get your cannon up in time, and you don't have to deal with slow links running around in your base. But I think that Hello Kitty might actually go for Nexus first this game.
Yeah, I think so. We will see that by the looks of it with the amount of minerals, unless we see this. You know what would be really great? Is if he just randomly bust out 3 gateways at the natural for no reason at all. That would just be wonderful. But no, we're not going to see that. Hello Kitty's going to play straight up there, so...
I don't think that would be all that wonderful, because Kane would be able to scout it, and there's not all that much you could do with the 3 gates.
It would be
just
terrible.
Like tower defense rally, like slow zealots across the map, and somehow Kane crumbles under the pressure. But I don't think we live in a world where that's possible anymore. This is not Steps of War, man. If it was, then with Steps of War, that would totally be possible.
Yeah, you could have totally done that. You know, Kane tries to build this maze out of evolution chambers, and the little zealots run through. No, I don't think we're going to be seeing that. Gateway at the front there, and the Forge, very, very standard here from Hello Kitty, but the Nexus first is always nice. At the end of the day, he exploits the fact that Kane is certainly not going for anything like a 10 pull. If he had, then that could have been very, very messy, but no, even a pull first, this is safe to do. Kane's not going to try to get in with 4 links.
And of course, he doesn't have to take an extractor yet. So some people still like to go like Hedge first and then just drop the gas immediately off 2 paces already against Protoss. But if you scout that you're playing against Nexus first or Forge Fast Expand, either way, it's kind of the same thing. You can still just go with the traditional 3 hatch. This is a really quick one as well, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Man, it just seems like they're getting quicker and quicker these days.
They really, really are. When he can get away with it, certainly. And he's got good map control with his lings as well, so he knows that cannons aren't really a risk and proxy pylons aren't a risk either. There's no probe on the map right now anyway. So that's not really a problem. And you'll notice that Kane is doing exactly what Suppy did, which is he is super paranoid about any possible proxy building. So he is scouting everywhere on attack move with a big path there. But it's fine, because Hello Kitty's just sitting behind this. Now the question is, what does he do behind it? Because we've seen a number of options where you can... Excuse me, where you can sneeze, and also where you can get out of the Forge Fast Expand kind of build. Some people like to go Stargate, some people like to go with the more traditional +1 Zealot pressure. Hello Kitty's opening the same way this time with the Stalker and the Chrono Boost, but we're going to see a Robo behind it this time.
Yeah, curious to see where he's going to take that. He has both the simulators in the main. It could potentially be a Sentry play, just a good old Sentry Immortal.
Yeah.
We will see. Actually had Kane on the show with Mr. Bitter a couple of weeks ago on one of the NSL shows we did, and he kind of talked about a style that he really loves against Pro Tools, and that is making quite a few links early on, then getting Hydro List, and then with those Hydro Lists you kind of force the Pro Tools like, oh, okay, I'm going to need Colossus, right? And while those Colossus are in production, he makes a late switch into Mutalisk play, and that's just a style that's very popular right now, certainly on the North American ladder, and it's also a very good style. Pro Tools has to scout all the time. It's not just one time an observer, oh, okay, I see some Hydras and Roaches, I'm fine. No, you're going to have to send hallucinations or observers all the time, because you have to be prepared for that Muta switch. If you do not open up with a Stargate, or even if you did, you want to know what's going on at all time. And certainly a player like Kane, he's able to bust it out like on any moment. As soon as he feels there's a window to do that, he is going to do it, and it's extremely good.
Alright, so an Overlord got in. The question is, what did it see? Now, it scouted the Robo. Did it see the Colossus Den? Nope. Colossus Den is at the back there, and didn't spot that, so he could still be thinking, yeah, this is sort of maybe some Immortal Sentry play, but it is just a straight-up 2-base Colossus. Like, there's nothing unusual about that whatsoever.
No, that's actually kind of funny, because Mr. Bid has been talking to me about this a lot lately, where he said that he feels 2-base Colossus plays actually pretty good in the current meta in ZVP, because, hey, so many Zerg players out there like to switch the Roaches. Like, if he knows that he's just going to have to deal with Colossus, he can just make a ridiculous amount of Roaches, and Roaches will be able to swarm around the Colossus, and he's going to be able to deal with that. Even though there are 2 Immortals, that's not going to be enough. But a lot of people kind of skip the Roaches and go straight into Hydra, and hey, then suddenly 2-base Colossus play gets pretty damn powerful, because as we all know, Colossus love Hydras.
Oh, they adore them. They're their favorite thing. There's no question. They absolutely love to just dick around with them. But yeah, you might very well be right. There are 11 Roaches coming out here from Kane though, and he's starting Roach speed. So I have to wonder if that's really going to be a thing for him. He does scout that Robo. He hasn't seen a Colossus yet, I don't think. No, he definitely hasn't, because there's not one out on the map yet. But
so what he's doing right now is actually surprisingly good against what he's facing, because if I was him, I would just only rely on Roaches. Like, having a couple of Hydras, sure, it's nice, but if he's going to go up to 2 Colossus, then those Hydras are just going to melt immediately, and they are even more expensive than Roaches. And by the time that this attack will hit, he can have a ridiculous amount of Roaches, and then I'm literally talking about that he's going to be up to 150, 160 supply. He's flying an Overseer in right now. He still didn't see the Robo Bay. That's crazy.
No.
Then he's probably going to feel like, okay, well, he doesn't even have a Hydra Den though.
No,
this is funny, because like in every game I've ever seen of Kane, he made a Hydra Den. Perhaps this is why that Hello Kitty is doing the build that he's actually doing. But this is looking a little dicey for our Protoss player, John.
Hydra Den's just come down here for Kane, and as you're absolutely right, a ton of Roaches is absolutely going to be what he needs to deal with this. There's only 2 Immortals, 2 Colossus, 6 Sentry, and a Stalker. That's it. There is a Warp Prism being brought along, and Thermal Lance is going to be done, but if Hello Kitty wants to engage against this army, he's going to have to do it soon, he's going to have to do it well.
Well, he's friends with Jim and Max said. I hope that he's friends with Parting as well, and that he has the sickest Warp Prism micro of all time. Otherwise, this is going to be really hard to pull off.
Yeah, the Warp Prism could very well be used to micro a lot of these units, the Immortals or the Colossus. He can do both of those things. But right now, it looks like he's not going to get the opportunity. Force fields come down for both sides. He's completely and totally surrounded. He goes in just before the Warp Prism comes out. The Warp Prism comes in just to see one of the Colossus falling down. And swarms of Roaches come in on this army, and they are going to batter it to pieces.
Wow. Not even close. Beautiful engagement, though, by Kane, but he doubled the army supply of his opponent. Picks up both Colossus. The Roaches are dancing.
GG. Straight away, and Kane just completely shuts that down.
That was rough, man. Kane looking oh so good in this game once more. But to Hello Kitty's defense, though, like, this is something that I see pretty often. And this probably looks like, oh my god, what a joke. He just got, he got absolutely destroyed. But this is just him really hoping that Kane opens up with Hydro Link. And that's something that Kane is quite known for. And his build would have been pretty damn good against Hydro Link. And sure, Kane can make roaches as soon as he identifies that he's going to have to deal with Colossus. But it took him quite a while to scout. But Kane making a ridiculous amount of roaches was the best thing that could have ever happened to him. And he just, that's a hard counter to this build.
Yeah, it was pretty blind. Obviously, he didn't really scout the Colossus until he sent that one Ling in there. And funnily enough, at that point, he actually built the Hydra Den, which was odd. It's like, well, yep, let's do that just in case this doesn't work. But just having enough roaches is absolutely enough, unless you have perfect force fields and great positioning. You are not getting out of that, and he flanked so well.
Exactly, he flanked so well, which is also because his creep shot was already pretty good. Like roaches off creep are scary when you only have Colossus and only 2 Immortals, but roaches on creep, like it's almost impossible to drop the perfect force fields. Like unless you're Rain or Parting or something, it's just that's almost never going to happen. On one moment, always too many roaches will squeeze through, or you drop the force fields too early and not enough roaches squeeze through, and you use too much energy. So that was just an almost impossible build to pull off for Hello Kitty against the units that he was facing of Kane. And Kane just keeps doing what he's doing, man. His play looks so solid, so legit, and he looks really hard to break. I really think he's one of the big favorites to take it all this entire tournament.
He's playing really well, there's no question. He could easily go 4-0 at this point. Hello Kitty's 2-base build just failed completely. So let's see if he's prepared anything else, because if he prepared that for Kane, he just got mind-gamed hard.
Yes.
As you said, Kane loves to build that Hydra Den. Didn't do that at all. Just built roaches and just obliterated his army. So, game 2 will be coming in very shortly, folks. It will, of course, be Hello Kitty's map choice. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve. We'll be right back. Did we lose Rotterdam? Did we lose you? Oh,
Yes,
bollocks. We actually lost Hello Kitty as well, so...
Oh, okay.
That's
No
a
worries.
good enough reason not to go into the game, I think. It would be pretty difficult to play it otherwise. That's unfortunate. Yeah, a return of the lobby beast from yesterday. It's... Battle.net is having some rather interesting problems at the moment, but we'll handle it, no doubt. So... Yeah, game one was pretty much a massacre. There's no real question about that. It was a hard blind counter of whatever the hell that was. But
Yeah, I mean, like Kane is quite okay with his opening in many ways. It was more Hello Kitty trying to blind counter Kane, and that just didn't work out. You know,
Yeah.
Hello Kitty really playing into the style of Kane, being also known for opening up Hydro Link, and he's just like, hey, my two-base Colossus play is probably going to be pretty damn powerful against this, and it was. And like, if it would have been Hydro Link, we see a completely different game where Kane might be able to hang in there, but it would be so hard, it would be really tough. He would have to pick a perfect engagement and really pull a rabbit out of his head. But instead, yeah, if you walk around with 35 roaches, then you're just like, oh yes, I just hit the jackpot.
totally. Yeah, you're absolutely, in every possible respect, prepared for what you need to deal with there, which is really, really good. Okay, Hello Kitty versus Kane. It's going to be game 2 coming in right here. It's going to be on Belshire Vestige. Now, I have to wonder, what does Hello Kitty have up his sleeve here? This is his map choice, so that indicates to me he's going to bust something very specific out.
I think we might see Dark Templars, man. That's the only thing we haven't seen yet. So.
It's going to be a 2-base carrier all in. Never see it coming.
That's the proxy carrier.
Hey man, whatever works. Proxy that fleet beacon, proxy 2 Stargates, build like 4 carriers and just go.
There was a game once on Delta Quadrant between Tarson and Huck, where Huck went 1-base carrier, and he actually managed to kill Tarson. I remember that. That was pretty cool.
That was one of those instances where Tarson did not hold.
No, Tarson did not hold. He had a couple of Marines, but that was not enough to deal with the one mighty carrier of Huck.
Yeah, Tarson always holds except when he doesn't. That's just a constant of the universe. Welcome to Belshire Vestige, ladies and gentlemen, in the red trunks playing Zerg to the southeast. It is
Root Kane.
And he's currently up 1-0 against his opponent, who went for that 2-base Colossus all-in. Did not work. What else has he got? He is...
Hello Kitty.
Alright, let's see. Well, first pylon for Hello Kitty is pretty far back here, interestingly enough.
So there are two options right now. Either he makes the Forge in the main base as well, just to hide potential upgrades later on. That's something that some Korean Protest players used to do for a while.
Yeah.
And I even think Sasa did it for a while. But I think much more likely is just a Gateway expand. And that, of course, gives him lots of different timings than a Forge Fast expand does. And I must say, this is really one of the cool things that the Mothership Core here, like, kind of brought back. All these new timings with Gateway units just gives a lot more variation to this matchup, you know, because at the end of Wings of Liberty, the first 4 minutes, we didn't even have to play them. Like, if there was a resume from replay, we would have just done that, you know, Nexus first or Forge Fast expand against the Zerg player going up to 3 hatches. And right now, everything is just much more action-packed right off the start.
Yeah, it's great. I don't even have a doubt in my mind that Heart of the Swarm is a better game than Wings of Liberty, and it's most likely only going to get better. And it turns out that, according to the pro statistics so far, it's actually surprisingly balanced thus far. We'll see whether or not that stays that way. I mean, if you think about it, it's half of it's about balance and half of it's just about the current metagame, where something appears imbalanced as a direct result of the meta being in a particular place.
And the other half is the fact that there are just a couple of demigods on this planet who are just extremely good at this game and mess with all logic that there is. Because, I mean, you cannot put balance down on guys like Life, Flash, Innovation, Rain. Those guys are just, they're not even like a league above the rest. They're just so extremely good. And they are playing a different game than we are playing and watching, John.
Yeah, they most assuredly are. No real question about that one. I gotta say that Hello Kitty's kind of playing a different game to what everyone else is expecting as well. I don't know if that ends up working in his favor or not, but it certainly worked against Suppy. Unfortunately, not against Kane thus far, but we'll see. So we're gonna see a Zealot opening right here from Hello Kitty, and can't really do much with that, but he's got something out on the map that can be a little bit of a threat. And then what we see, we're just gonna wait and see what comes after that. He's got 2 in gas on each side again. Very, well, more common than it used to be, this.
Well, good news for Hello Kitty is that he's at least going up to 2 bases. That in general means good things to him.
Yeah, it does. Statistically, he
Yes.
tends to win when he has 2 bases and not so much when he has 1.
I would also like to point out the variation in Kane's opening right now. He's scouted the fact that he's going to have to deal with a gateway fast expand. So instead of going for 3 hatcheries before gas like he did in the previous game, he's just going to play it a little bit safer, drop that extractor much quicker, get speed links of 2 bases, and then he can still go up to 3 bases. But there's no need to do that like ridiculously quick or greedy and delay everything else. If your opponent opens up with a gateway in his base, maybe Chrono Boost warp gate technology, that's something you cannot know, and then follows it up with like 4 gate, a couple of zealots with a mothership core, something like Naniwa likes to do, for instance, and then kills your third base, like then you're much further from home. So Kane is just playing this safe, and he's just gathering information slowly but steady. He wants to see what's going on, getting links out on the map, putting his overlords in position so that he will be prepared regardless.
Hello, throws down a Stargate, is a natural expansion right here.
Yeah. I don't really like the positioning of that Stargate, to be honest, because if one link just like pokes one of those gateways, I think he's going to be able to spot that Stargate immediately. And I think when that's the case, we can just see Kane drone up like a madman and going to go up to 3 bases. Stargate is definitely something you want to kind of hide in general. So far, he didn't see it yet, so that's good news. But
yeah. It's a bit hard to hide it considering his pylon placement as well. But he put 2 pylons at the back of his mineral line near the edge, which is like totally Overlord scoutable. So I don't know whether or not that was why he just puts it in a place that's a little bit more difficult to Overlord scout. But as he said, Ling's now coming in. Let's see if he spots it. Yeah, I mean, sight range wise, it's a bit difficult. It would be hard to know, but I think you're right. I think if he just like pokes up against it, he'll see it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he didn't see it yet. That is good news, and it's also good news for us. It means that the Phoenixes are going to be able to do a little bit more damage than they would have if they got scouted immediately. And that, of course, means that we should have a much better game on our hands, which is fun. I'm excied.
Yeah, Roach Warren on the way here for Kane, and going up to 2 gases in his natural. He's only got 1 in his main right now, though.
And the links are so close, but I've never actually attacked the gates, and I still think if he like... No, he still didn't see it yet. Overlords didn't see it as well. Like, as you said, that is a kind of a tricky position for an Overlord scout, even though, like, sometimes Overlord just, like, kind of hover around the high ground next to the sentries. And I think then if he would just, like, peek in for literally, like, 1 split second, then I think he would be able to scout it immediately. But that's not the case either. So, good news for Hello Kitty, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even know if this thing would scout it. It's dead now, so it's definitely not scouting anything, but... It may be that Hello Kitty put it in just the right place where even just tapping on that front door wouldn't have actually shown it. It's really hard to know. It was so close to the sight range there. But Hello Kitty is playing a razor game right now. He is right on the edge. And the scout comes in from Kane. It's still not going to see the Phoenixes. And Hello Kitty is saving them as well. Now he rolls out with 4. He's actually going to dodge the Overlords all the way in here, potentially.
Wow, that's so sick. Yeah, this is actually the perfect scenario. This is what you want to have when you open up Phoenixes. 4 Phoenixes is enough to kill a Queen at once, as long as all your Phoenixes are there immediately. Still not a single Spore Crawler on the map. I think as soon as he's going to see those Phoenixes. Okay, I think the Overlord might be able to scout
going to see
them.
it. Yep. Yep, if he'd skirted the edge of the map, he might have got away with that, but he didn't. And that was... There we go, Spore Crawler coming down right now. And Spores are pretty quick to build, but Hello Kitty does still get the element of surprise. He's now able to go to the 3rd base here. Lifts a Queen up, that's going to go down, no real question about that one. And he's going to be able to get Overlords, going to be able to get drones. This is going to work out pretty well for him.
This is going to work out so well, man. This is like inevitable. This is going to do a lot of damage. I would really love to see him pick off at least 1 more Queen in the natural. He had time to do that before Spore Crawlers were up. The Hydralisk then is on the way right now, but if the economy is not extremely good, the Hydras kind of spawn 1 by 1, and then Phoenixes can be extremely good against Hydras too. So Kane is going to be super careful that his Hydras actually walk around in a clump of Hydras, because if they walk around by themselves, these Phoenixes are going to pick them off for days.
Yeah, and they're having a lot of fun right now doing just that. Currently, we see 10 workers killed and a Queen, which is really good. That is severely restricting the economy of Kane right now. Lost a lot of mining time as well, and was forced to build Spore Crawlers, is now building Hydralisks. So Hello Kitty knows what's coming at him. And the interesting thing now is that he's actually building more air units. He's building Void Rays.
Which I think is really quite smart, because he also knows that he did quite some economic damage right now. Kane also didn't play super greedy, because hey, he's playing against Hello Kitty. This is something that you mentioned earlier today. That's not a guy you just want to go up to 65 drones against, because you never know what's coming. Oh, Time Warp going down as well, a couple of
nice.
Force Soup, picking up some roaches. By the way, John, I do want to point out that while the Phoenixes were making their way across the map, one Roach did actually hog those gateways, and he did see the Stargate, so we were right.
There you go. You're absolutely right. It was actually able to scout that. Only just, man, if it was possible to place an inch further back, maybe you couldn't actually scout that by tapping the gateways. That would be sweet. But I don't know if that's even outside the range of the Psyweb or anything like that. But right now, we've seen a little bit more damage done. 13 workers killed now by the Phoenixes. 6 Phoenixes, great. The funny thing about Phoenixes, they're actually kind of nice against Hydras as long as there's not that many of them. Because you can lift and kill them quite easily. But once you get a lot of them, obviously the Phoenixes aren't really going to do much. A second Stargate's coming down, though. We may see the big Void Race style coming in here.
Not just that, I think he's actually spot on. I can only imagine that Hello Kitty knows Kane quite a bit, and what I'm expecting from Kane, I mean, it might be Corruptus, but I think it's much more likely that he's going to bank up an insane amount of resources.
Go Muta.
And might go Muta, even though he is researching Hydra speed, which is something that he...
Spies halfway done, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility.
I mean, the fact that he's researching Hydra speed kind of gives me the idea maybe he's not going to go Muta, but this is Kane. I know he loves that style. So that second Stargate is literally the best thing that could happen to Hello Kitty. But it's also something that makes sense because he knows that he's so safe. He has those sentries. Colossus stack is on the way. He's going to go up to 3 bases. There's literally nothing here that can kill him unless it's a big Muta switch, which he's not prepared for.
Yeah, so you very well might be right that he could be producing Phoenixes 2 at a time. If it ends up being mass muta, he'll probably have to get Pulse Crystals, but he's okay with what he's got right now.
Yeah.
Sees the large amount of Hydras. The Hallucinate, there's going to be Corruptors to start with here from Kane, but the Hallucinated Phoenix that made its way into the base did not scout the Spire.
Wow, that's crazy. I could have sworn I did.
Nope, he didn't. He missed it. Only just.
Yeah, by an inch, I guess. But still, it's always nice to have that second Stargate. It's something that you can fall back on. For now, it is going to be Roach Hydra Corrupted, though. So no Muta switch yet, but it's still something that could come into play later on as well. Certainly if a couple of those Phoenixes die. But so far, Hello Kitty has been doing a fantastic job keeping those Phoenixes alive. Look at the units lost resource tab, John. That's insane.
It's pretty huge. 25 workers killed. That's massive there from Hello Kitty. Really, really good. Keeping his opponent on his toes. Forcing Kane back again. Kane can't ignore that many Phoenixes. And Spore Crawlers aren't enough. At the end of the day, Phoenixes actually have too many hit points, and they're too quick. They can tank Spore Crawler fire. Kane's forced to build a lot of them, which means he's going to have less drones. It costs him resources as well. His army's smaller. Everything's looking pretty good here, but he still has to deal with this big army that's coming at him.
But I think he will be more than ready, man. He's on 172 supply, and his army is, in my opinion, stronger. He has killed 40 units in this game, and he hasn't lost a single one yet. How crazy is that?
That's nuts. You're entirely right, of course, but that's actually crazy. If we look at the resources lost, 2,400 minerals worth of stuff versus 0. I mean, it's going to be gas as well. There you go. As we say that, oh man, Hello Kitty, Hello Kitty. What is he doing?
Oh no, he's just losing 5 Phoenixes. Oh my god, now he's basically giving him a window as well later on to go for Mutas. This is Kane after all. God, just after playing an absolutely flawless first 15 minutes, he just sacrificed 5 Phoenixes. And this might not seem like the end of the world, guys. That's a pretty damn big deal.
It is. It really, really is. And you can say, well, you know, he let him go because he wanted a bigger army. No, you know, if he wanted to do that, he could have got rid of probes. He clearly did not throw those away on purpose. And as a direct result, he's still in a good spot. He still has the Void Rays, really great Death Ball coming in here, but he doesn't have that harassment potential anymore. He can't go in and get a bunch of drone kills.
And what I'm most worried about is when these Corruptors are able to deal with the Void Rays and Colossus, which is not going to be easy, by the way. Yes, we already have 16 Corruptors on the map, but I'm not sure if that's enough, man. There's a lot of Stalkers. Guardian Shield is going to be activated. But like, look at the bank that Kane's slowly but steady building up. A potential Muta switch later on could really be devastating after losing those Phoenixes.
That's absolutely true. Okay, Hello Kitty needs to do damage now, I think. I think he's got to take a base out in order to make this work. He can't just simply let Kane re-establish and get an economic lead again. Here comes the engagement. Charged Void Rays will cut their way through Corruptus pretty quickly, but there are so many of them. The Colossus engage here as well. Of course, the Hydra army is just going to get obliterated. Void Rays taking a lot of fire here as well, but that was a pretty good engagement for Hello Kitty, but he lost so much.
And look at the natural expansion. There was a big circling run-by during all this. And he just absolutely ravaged this mineral line. And right now he's remaxing on Roaches and Hydras. He definitely thinned out the Colossus. He took out 2 out of 4. He took out 3-4 Void Rays. That was a very good fight for Kane. And as soon as all his reinforcements spawn, I think he's going to be able to crush his army.
Yeah, I think you very well might be right. Hello Kitty's in an